Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana hobby guy. And today we've got a review of the Ikier K1 Ultra 36 watt laser engraver. That's right, we got the big boy in the shop today. So pay attention in the video. I'll put timestamps down below for those of you that want to skip around and see, get through it real quickly. But pay attention throughout the video because there's going to be a couple little hidden messages about my latest raffle, and you're going to be extremely excited to see that. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is jump straight into the photographs of many of the items that I've made with this laser and talk about some of the settings that I use. Then we'll get into the videos after that, and again, like I said, timestamps are down below for those of you that are in a hurry. Everybody else, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the review video. Let's go. All right, let's get started with the photos, and these are in no particular order, but this is a piece of slate, 4-inch slate, and I just dropped one of the photos of my wife and I in Thailand on there and ran it as I would with any other machine. I did half the speed and power, so I ran this at 30,000 millimeters per minute and 33% power. Then I dropped on just a photo off of Google of a lion that I found with no touch-ups whatsoever. I ran this one at 48,000 millimeters per minute and 50% power, and I probably could have went up on the power on this, maybe defocused it a little bit to get better results, but I think that came out pretty nice. So then I moved on to my Legends of the Blues, and this is one of my favorite pictures to do because I get a good idea of what the laser engraver can do. This was done at 24,000 millimeters per minute, 50% power, and 275 LPI in Atkinson mode. It took 35 minutes and 14 seconds to cut out a 80 by 218, which is 7.1 by 8.5 inches for those of us in the US. And you can see down here in the bottom, the letters, the really tiny letters did not come out perfect, but I wasn't expecting them to because this is a 36 watt laser with a larger dot size. Moving on, I decided to go to a 3D engraving, and this is 30,000 millimeters per minute, 100% power in Jarvis. It took 7 minutes and 22 seconds, and it did a really great job. If you look at it in person, tilt it side to side, it's got a 3D effect. Then I moved on to the Old World map, and I did this map at 48,000 millimeters per minute, 100% power in Atkinson, 275 LPI. It took 38 minutes and 1 second. This is 8 by 10 inches or 253 by 180 millimeters. Did a really beautiful job on this, probably one of the best that I've ever done. So I moved on to a vector. This was at 20,000 millimeters per minute, 95% power, 3 millimeter 3-ply. Took 7 minutes and 54 seconds. The detail is really nice on that. And moving on, I did another vector or a raster, and this is an 8 by 10. Came out beautiful. This was just dropping the graphic on, no adjustment whatsoever. And then I decided to do the test pattern to find out if the circles are circles, squares are squares, how it corners, and what the line width on the dot size is. And the lines up in the top left corner of the picture, the two sets of lines, those came in at 0.14 millimeters. The two sets of horizontal lines on the bottom left corner came in at 0.1 millimeters. So the job is accurate. It did measure 125 by 125 millimeters, so there's no calibration that's needed. Then I moved on to the cut test, and you can see here that I was able to cut 3 millimeter 3-ply wood at 872 millimeters and 100% power. And I want you to notice on the little inset photograph there that you don't see it cutting only on two sides like you normally see with most lasers. So the rectangular size on this laser is smaller than most. And I went on to do the engraving material test from Lightburn software, And I should have probably started at 13,000 and ran up to 48,000, but I didn't. So I'll have to redo this one. But I got some really, really nice results at very high speed, as you can see. Moving on, went to some MDF. Now there are 3 or 4 different types of MDF. This is masonite, and it's made with acrylic. This is the toughest masonite on the market, and this is 6.2 millimeters thick. I cut this in 2 passes with a Z offset of 1.5 millimeters per pass, which means that the laser automatically lowered down 1.5 millimeters when it started the cut, and then it lowered another 1.5 millimeters on the second pass. Really nice feature having the motorized Z. Then I moved on to 8.25 millimeter oak, and you can see 280 millimeters a minute, 100% power. The Z offset was 3 millimeters, so it lowered down 3 millimeters. This was 1 pass. And then I bumped up to 13 millimeter oak, 240 millimeters per minute, 100% power, 2 passes, and the Z offset lowered by 2 millimeters on each pass. And then I went to some 13 millimeter red oak from the big box store, and the top one here is 1 pass at 125/100 with a Z offset of 2 millimeters, and the bottom one is 2 passes at 250/100 with a Z offset on each pass of 2 millimeters. You can go as low as 6 millimeters on the Z offset. Moving on to acrylic, this is 3.25 millimeter yellow acrylic, which is a hard one to cut. It cut it at 425 millimeters per minute, 100% power, 2 passes, and the Z offset was 0.75 millimeters per pass. And then sticking to acrylic, black acrylic, which is the easiest one to cut, 480 millimeters per minute, 100% power with a Z offset of 1.5 millimeters, 1 pass. And of course, you know, everybody out there wants to cut thick material. I have no idea why. This is a laser engraver. It's not meant for cutting thick material, but here it is, 32 millimeter hardwood. This is a wooden dowel, so it's extremely hard wood. It cut 30.4 millimeters deep, regardless of how many passes I made. So 1 pass, 30.4, 2 passes, 3 passes, 4 passes. It would not exceed that 30.4 millimeters, and that's because, you know, the laser gets in its own way. The soot, debris, smoke, everything stops it from cutting any further than 30.4 millimeters. And I did Z offset it all the way down to about 1 millimeter off the surface. So that is the largest cutting distance you can do, 30.4 millimeters on hardwood. Now you will see a lot of unscrupulous manufacturers showing you that they can cut hardwood, a 30 millimeter hardwood in 1 pass at a faster speed, but they are using white wood. So using white wood, yeah, you know, lots of lasers can cut 30 millimeters in 1 pass. This is a hardwood dowel. And finally, my favorite test is this engraving test. So I have these complex engravings that I do, and on the left side you will see 18,000 millimeters per minute, 90% power. This is in a 0 scan, filling all of them at one time. And then the right side is 19,000, 70% power, filling each group individually. Each one of these are 2.5 by 2.5 inches. So it took 15 minutes and 10 seconds, and I probably got one of the best results I've ever gotten with the laser, at least in the top 3 out of all the lasers that I've tested. So that's it for the photos. Let's move on. All right, I know some of you are going to want to see how it can cut. Not that you would be using 1/2 inch thick material, but this is 1/2 inch thick red oak off the store, big box wood, and we're running 1 pass on it, and it cuts through it like butter. I could have went much faster. You see how it charred, but here you go. You can see right there, it says 1/2 by 2 by 2 red oak board. Alright, so finding the maximum cutting depth of this machine wasn't too hard. I had a 33 millimeter hardwood dowel. So that is about 1.25 inches thick of hardwood. You can see it's almost through on the first pass if you look at it closely. But this one I ran 2 passes on. I did it backwards. The very first one you see there to the right was 1 pass, and that didn't quite cut through, but I'm running 2 passes on this job, and then the next one is 1 pass. So as soon as this finishes, I've got it set up to do 1 pass, and that was at 120 millimeters per minute or 2 millimeters per second. Now this one is 1 pass at 60 millimeters per minute, which is 1 millimeter per second, and it's almost clean through. Is no difference from the 2 passes. So 2 passes or 1 pass makes no difference. I just wanted to show you the difference in results. So the actual cutting depth on this machine in hardwood, now this is a hardwood dowel, is about 31 millimeters before it gets in its own way and it can't cut any deeper. Now you can probably cut deeper with it, maybe if you put 2 lines side by side or something like that. But now I'm going to break them apart. I'm sorry I went off camera here, but when I broke it apart, that is the 1 pass cut, the second cut that I made, and you can see the edge there where it didn't go completely through. Now I'll break off the 2 pass cut, and you can see that it's the same. So doesn't make a difference 1 pass or 2 passes, you're going to get the same thickness in the wood. Now I did break off my original test cut, which was at 200 millimeters per minute, and it's just a little bit lower. So not a real big difference. And if I put this onto the caliper, you'll see that 30.4 is about the maximum cutting distance of this laser for a single line. So there you go. So this is a vintage old world map. I ran this at 48,000 millimeters per minute, 100% power. This is in Atkinson mode with 275 LPI. This entire map, and that's the engraving and the cutting, took 38 minutes and 1 second. The wood that I used is regular 2 millimeter 3-ply plywood. It measures, the actual graphic measures 253 by 180 millimeters. That is an 8 by 10 size. And the detail on this came out incredible. I have to say that, again, this is one of the top engravings that I've ever done of this image on wood before. All of the details, you can read everything, all of the small letters, Mongolia, you know, all the little things. There's a nice depth to all of the darker areas. I'd say about a 0.5 millimeter depth, and everything is clearly defined. So again, this is one of the top engravings that I've got of this photograph out of any of the lasers that I've tested. And at 48,000 millimeters per minute, you know, that's really a game changer to be able to run that kind of speed at 100% power and have it deliver this type of precision result. So again, 100% thumbs up on this one. Did a great job. There's the cut right there. This is the Legends of the Blues. It was run at 24,000 millimeters per minute, 50 power, 275 LPI in Atkinson mode. It is 80 by 218 millimeters or 7.1 by 8.5 inches. and did a superb job. I did use the step down 1 millimeter for the cut, and it came out just perfect, as best as I could expect. All right, let's talk about what's in the box. It was extremely well packed. The owner's manual was very well printed, easy to understand, everything. And basically, you got 4 parts. The frame goes together. It's a very precision fit. You got the air assist, the nozzle. You've got the laser module, labeled package step 1, step 2, step 3. And this is with the final product of what you get. Believe me, folks, if I could do this in 15 minutes, you can too. There really was nothing to doing this, nothing at all putting this together. Everything fit so perfectly. The screws went in nicely. Just very, very simple to do, easy setup. All right, so let's talk about what we've got here for a minute, the specifications. So probably the things that make this stand out from the rest of the crowd is the speed. This on the x-axis, this can travel at 48,000 millimeters per minute. That is 800 millimeters per second. That actually rivals a CO2 laser, actually a good CO2 laser. Lots of CO2 lasers can't even get up to 800 millimeters per second. So that is a great feature of this product. Another nice thing about it is that it's got the motorized Z. So that means that the Z can go up and down, and it can automatically focus on your particular material, so you don't have to worry about focusing. And with that automatic Z comes your step cutting. So you can program each layer to refocus the Z, maybe drop down another millimeter or so and do the second pass of cutting, and then maybe another millimeter for the third pass of cutting. So every layer can have its own individual settings for the Z. And again, like I just said, it has autofocus. If you need a video on that, I've got a video on the autofocus and as well as the steps of the Z on my channel. So if you just search for Ikier, you'll come up with it. At this point in time, there are only 2 of them. It does have the crosshair laser pointer that can help you position your work. That I also have a video on. Both of them are in the same video, autofocus and crosshair. So this is a 36 watt laser. This is a super laser. By today's standards, there are 6 6-watt diodes that are collimated into one 36 watt beam, and of course you're going to lose a little bit of power there. So I did verify, and you saw the videos with your own eyes, that it will cut 30 millimeter wood in one pass. It did well with everything that I tested, and I really have to say that I really didn't find anything wrong with this. So it's got linear bearings all the way around. The x-axis slide design is really beautiful because it's a enclosed linear rail. This makes it more stable, and you can go at least 3 or 4 times the speeds of some standard laser engravers. And you don't get any little squiggly lines or anything like that. It does have a 32-bit smart motherboard. It is OEM branded. So, and they are touting themselves as the world's fastest diode laser engraver at 800 millimeters per second or 48,000 millimeters per minute. The air assist is also controlled in Lightburn or any other program by the M7 command. So you can automatically turn the air assist on or off for when you're cutting or engraving. In the on position, it will be very strong. In the off position, in Lightburn, it will just be a slight breeze. It'll turn it on at a low power, or at least I think it will anyway on the diode. So the automatic focus and the automatic syncing with the material is something that's just you know, brand new to the market. Another one thing that stands out about this, or I guess this is the fourth or fifth thing, is that they've also had the first resume after power off that I've seen, where if you lose power, let's say the lights go out, when the power comes back on, the laser will resume at the very same spot where it left off. Now, I haven't seen that one before except on maybe 3D printers. So you can use this offline with the touchpad. I don't really like touchpads and I don't like apps, so I really didn't get into that. I tested it and it wanted to autofocus, so I just said, nah, you know, I'll just leave that alone. So on the interfaces, you've got the USB, which is the connection to your computer. It is a USB Type-C. Mine did have a problem where it kept disconnecting. I replaced it with a regular USB-C cable, and I haven't had a problem since. You've got the HDMI interface there. That's for the touchpad. You've got the power, and then there's a small power underneath that. The air assist pump is actually powered right from the control board. And you can use this laser with just about any standard software. So you can use it with LaserGurble or Lightburn. Lightburn, you do have to pay for the subscription. And it does have all of the standard safety features. You've got the limit switches, flame detection, the gyro, so if you tilt it, the machine turns off automatically. And it's got the security key. I don't particularly like that key because you have to have the key in it and turned on, and then you can't remove it while it's turned on. The only time you can remove that key is when you pull it out. I don't like that feature because I will wind up losing these keys and I'll have to bypass that switch. They have several different models. They have the K1, the K1 Pro, and the K1 Ultra. The K1 Ultra is the one that you saw today. And you're probably wondering if this is a laser that I would recommend to anyone, and the answer to that is absolutely yes. I really did enjoy reviewing this laser. I want to thank Ikier for sending it to me. I did get this laser for free, although I was not paid for this review. And I would absolutely recommend this to anybody, especially people that are new to laser engraving. It is a little bit pricey, but not more pricey than you would expect. At the time of this recording, it's about $1,300, and that's not really a lot for what you get with this machine because it is almost an all-in-one machine. Not all lasers are all-in-one. This is not one of them, but it's pretty close. So, yes, I recommend it. Hey, did you see the hidden message in here? Speaking about all-in-one lasers, if you haven't, you might need to rewatch. There is a hidden message in here, and you definitely want to see it. Anyway, that's it, folks. That's everything that I have to say about this machine. It gets a thumbs up. I'm going to say that it gets 9 out of 10 stars if I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. So that's all. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.